Now let's just talk about other options. If we click on one of the buttons, you can see we did change the background color. And many of these options, if you play with them, there is no harm in it. You will learn a lot. Just play with all of these options. But I will show you the most important ones. Like we have this button, right? So this is a button, this is a button. And if we play our game, you can see I can go over them and click on them, right? And if we go to a style, click on this, for example, go to a style, you can see we have some options. For example, in the normal, what color we want to have. In when we hover our mouse over them, what color we need. When we press it, what color we need. If this is disabled, if this button is disabled, what color it should has. And it's not just about color. If you, for example, for the normal expand this, you can see we can set image for that as well. And for example, in here, I want to change the color when it's in normal to blue, right? And let's just go to hover. When we hover over it, we want it to be green, okay? And when we press on it, we want it to be red, right? So now we have three color in here. If you run our game, you can see when I hover over it, it's green. And when I click on it, it will be red. And it's not just the colors. You can see you can change the image as well in here. So for all the options, like pressed, show this image. For hovered, show this image. For normal, show this image. Okay. And with all of these options, we can create some cool stuff. So next, there is some color in here as well, and those are for the foreground. So for example, if I wanna add a text to this button, right? You can see the text is inside the button, and I want to click on this button and click size to content. Right now the content inside this button is this text block and the button itself, right? But this text block is out of our button, so we can click on our button and tell it size to content, or we can just change the X size like this, okay? And we can decrease it and just use size to content. No, it automatically do the resizing for the content that is in child of that button. Now, if we want to change the color of this text, we can use these foreground colors. So double click on one of them. I want it at the normal foreground. I want it to be green, okay, like this. Now that we change the foreground color, the green, the text should be green, but it's not green. Why it's not green? If you click on it, you can see in detail panel, this text can have a color as well. But there are some options in here. For the color and opacity, we can tell it to inherit from your parent. The parent of this text is this button. So if we inherit it, okay, now it get the green color to it, right? So if we again change this color to, for example, red, it should get red, right? So let's just compile, and now you can see it is red. But if you want to change the color inside, change the color of the text itself, you can go here, disable this inherit and change the color in here. But let's just use inherit again because it's easier to have it for buttons, because we want to change the color of this text inside this button when it's hovered, when it's pressed, and all of that, right? When it's hovered, for example, I want to change the text or foreground to green, for example. And next, when it is pressed, I want to change it to blue, right? Everything cool? Now let's just compile and run our game. And now if you hover over it, you can see the both text and the button is green, like this. Hover is green and hover foreground is green. Let me show you better. Hover foreground is green and hover is green, okay? Now if you click on it, you can see the colors is changing like we want it, right? Next option is the padding, normal padding. In here you can see we can change the padding in here for the normal and pressed. So for example, if we can change the padding whenever we press this button, like 20 to the left and 20 to the right, for example. Let's just compile and see the difference. If we click in here, now you can see the padding whenever we click on it, right? So we can change all of these options. Next option is pressed sound. Whenever somebody click on some button or whatever, you can change the sound. So for example, in here, whenever they click on this, we choose a sound, MP3 wave or whatever. You can choose it and it will play that. Again, it has hover sound as well. It's self-explanatory, and we did talk about color and opacity and background color as well.